Hi and welcome to another video from TOGAtech. I do apologise for the ridiculous headset, but unfortunately my lapel microphone seems to have given up the ghost. I hope you can see me behind this mountain of equipment. In today's video, what I'll be attempting to do is to build myself a new gaming PC so I can use it on my new flight simulators. I must admit, the last time I had anything to do with a computer or computer building, it was one of these. Yes, it's an Amstrad 1512. At the time it was a superior computer. It's got a massive 512 kilobytes of memory and a huge 20 megabytes of storage. How phenomenal is that? So I hope you bear with me in this video because it's been a long time, as I say, since I've done anything like this. Right, let me talk you through the equipment. Anyway, what I've purchased myself here is the Cooler Master MB510L case. It's a lovely case. It's got fans built into the front, the top and the rear. It's got a magnetic removable dust filter, and it's also got a side screen here so you can see straight through into where the motherboard fits and everything, and it's got LEDs on all the fans, but we'll go into more detail of that once we start the build. I'm going to be powering this system with what you can see down here. This is the Thermaltake London, which is a 550 watt power supply unit. It's the 80 plus gold range and it's fully modular. For the motherboard, we're using the MSI MPG X570 Gaming Plus motherboard, and to process all of this we're going with the AMD Ryzen 7 the 3700X series. For memory, I've gone with the Corsair Ventus LPX. This is 2x16 gigabyte and it's the 3200 megahertz range. And for storage, we've got the Samsung 860 EVO. This is the M2 SSD. It's a 1 terabyte one. That will give me fast access to, we're going to put the operating system and some of the flight sims because it's fast access, so it will load the scenery a lot quicker. For standard storage, I've got the this one, the Seagate Barracuda 2 terabyte hard drive. That's a standard mechanical hard drive. I've got some additional 120mm Arctic fans. These are quieter than the ones that are in the case, so I may replace the case ones with those. For CPU cooling, I've gone for the Corsair H60 Hydro series. That will keep our CPU nice and cool. And I believe, the pièce de résistance is the MSI. This is the RTX 270 Super Ventus card. This is a 8GB graphics card with ray tracing. Well, I hope everything's all going to go together smoothly, so I'll come back to you in a moment and we'll start the build. And thanks for watching. Here we are at our workbench and we're going to start putting together this gaming PC. We're going to need some basic tools here to put this together, so I've got a range of screwdrivers, various sizes. This little one here. What else do we need? Yeah, some screwdrivers. I've got some side cutters, a knife, some point nose pliers, a range of cable ties, some small cable ties, some medium cable ties, there we go. Some large cable ties, there we go, and some medium-sized cable ties. Right, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to clear the decks now, and we're going to bring in our PC case and take a look at that. So I've been through all the parts that I've purchased for this gaming PC, and I will leave a detailed list in the description below, but we're going to start off with our case here, which, here we go, just bring that in there. This is the Cooler Master, the 510 model, the MB510L. As you say, it's got a perspex case, top here so that you can see inside. This is the new thing, everyone wants to see all the LEDs flashing and that. Right, so let's start opening this up. It's got just some thumb screws here just to hold the plate in place. Take them off so we can lift off the perspex cover. Right, and here's the inside. Right, we've got the rear fan there. Got a housing here where the power supply goes in, and this is where the motherboard tucks in here. It's fitted on there. Now there's a couple of posts already in place for the motherboard, but there's obviously going to need to be a lot more than that. What we'll need to do, I think first of all, what I'll do is that's the magnetic removable dust filter, so I'll take that off. I think what I'll do now is just offer up where our fans are going. Now I did think this case came with fans, but it's only got one on the rear and nothing. Sorry if you can see that in there. There's no front facing fans fitted, but I have bought 2 spare fans, so I'll get them fitted in there. There's also nothing in the top, just the rear mounted fan. So I'll probably mount a fan here in the front, and not sure what's going on the top here, whether or not going to vent the Cooler Master, the CPU extraction out through the top there. We'll take a look at that as we go on. Let me see if we can take this front cover off so we can fit the fans easier. Usually they just pop off, but that I don't know. Yep, there we go. Let's just give it a helping hand. A little flat screwdriver. There we go. Yep, so that's the front cover off, so we can get to mount the fans a lot easier. Right. I bought a couple of additional Arctic F12 fans here, which, let's see how we can mount these in here. Try and keep this all in shot for you. It does. Comes with some little grub screws here. I must have dropped them out the other case. So that got 4 little grub screws. Right. Now, depending on which way round you mount these, is whether or not they're sucking or blowing. Now, We want the air to be drawn in through the front and exhausted through the top and back. So I think these are going to go in this way round, so with the label on the front here that will draw the air in. We can always check this all off afterwards. So if I put that in there, one of these little screws, line that up. I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying to line that up to these holes here. Let's turn this up on its back. You might be able to see a bit clearer. There are pre-drilled fixing holes. Put that one in there. Screwdriver. There you are. The motherboard is the MSI MPG X570 Gaming Plus. This is set up for the AMD Ryzen 7 series, 7 series, sorry, and it's also ready for PCI 4th generation, which is not out yet. Let's have a look at what we've got inside here. This is the scary bit. So I've got the board itself. Under here. Right. Loads of bits and pieces. Let's just pull them out. Obviously the driver's disc we won't be needing right now. But we don't. Thank you very much. That's the screws for the M2 memory, the SSD. So I'll leave them in there for now because I don't need them yet. This, I have no idea what this is. It's pretty heavy. That's some sort of heat shield. I'll leave that out because we'll have to find out what that is. And we've got some SATA cables. Got the plate there. Ooh. Another little screw. M2 screw. Nice little label. What that's all about. Oh, here we are. Quick installation. These are the sort of things we need. And that's the full manual. There. Quick installation guide. So pop those aside for now. Put that down there. Let's unpack the memory board, the motherboard. Nice. Now, if we have a look at the fixing screws here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've got 8. We need 8 standoffs to put this on the case. Now I only saw 2 in the case, and I didn't see any in the box. Have a look at all the things again. I didn't. Oh, here they are. They're in there with that thing, whatever that bit is. Now we should have 8 standoffs. Well, they've given us 2, is that? 2, I think. 2. That's not very helpful. 2. Okay, let me just put that aside for a moment, and I'm going to have a look inside the case and see how we're going to fit this. So I've got 2 preset standoffs there. This needs to go in the case. Which way? That's going to go like that, I believe. So yeah, you can see the pre-drilled holes that you can see down there for the standoffs. One there, one there, one there, like that. So that's where they're going to need to go, just to raise the board off so it doesn't touch the casing. Yep. Right, I apologise. I just looked inside the power supply bay of this this case and computer case, and I found a whole bag of goodies in there, including cable ties, screws and that. They're all tucked tied up in the base there, and I didn't see them. So here we go. That should be all the standoffs for the motherboard in there. Cut that open. Pour that lot into the magnetic tray. There we go, look, we've got loads of them now. So let's pop those in the places where they need to go. And that top left there. Top left, middle. It's our motherboard. It's got to go in like that way, and we check the mounting holes. 1, 2, 3 across the top, 1, 2, 3 across the middle, 1, just 2 across the base there. Oh no, 3. 1, 2, 3 across the base as well. If I just check that they line up, so I've got 3 across the top there, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 across the middle. I've only got 2 on the base, so I'm missing 1 there. So let's find another one. Yes. So there we go. That goes in there. There, lovely. Okay. So we now know that that all lines up with this. We just offer that up. I'm not going to fit it in yet because there's a few bits I want to fit on the motherboard before I put it in. And a few things I want to take off. Right, so that's going to fit in there like that. Now our graphics card is going to go in this slot here, because this is the 16-bit port 1 with the reinforced sides. So we know our graphics cards are going to go in there, so we need to remove, you can see on the side there, these 2 shields, because it's a double width graphic card, so we need to remove those 2 shields. So I'm going to do that now while the motherboard's not in there. I'm also going to put the little plate in that covers the gap at the back where all the connectors go, all the USB ports. So let's just pop that out again, put that over there gently. So let's remove these 2 shields here where the graphics card's going. Go. Just took those 2 shields out. Don't need those. I'm going to untie this fan cable for the fan. I'm not sure where that's got to go to on the board yet. And the other thing, a good thing to do when preparing your case, we take the other side off as well, so we can route all our cables through. So it's just got a couple of thumb screws there, quite tight. So we'll do that. This will allow access so we can route our cables. So just pull that off there. You see we've got some cables already in there. They're coming off the power switch and the USB 3s on the top there. There's our bay for our power supply, goes in here, and then we've got trays here. These are for hard drives. Slide out, you mount your hard drives on the tray, and you can slide them back in there. 2 of those, very neat. So right, what else do we need to do to prepare this case before we start everything? Right, we could right, I'm going to put this aside for now. I'm going to start putting together the motherboard, and then we'll come back to this to start putting in the power supply unit. The only other thing I'm going to put in here is the I/O shield, which is this input output. That's what I/O is. I/O shield. I'll pop that in. Just making sure we know which way round it goes. So we have a look at our motherboard. Our motherboard's going to go in this way round, and we tip that up. We can check that the shield lines up, which I've got it the wrong way round, so the shield is going to go that way, so covering those ports like that. So we just pop the motherboard down again, and we'll keep the shield the right way round. Pop the IO shield in, should just press fit in. Should. Watch your fingers on this because it's very sharp. There we go. Right, that's the IO shield in. Turn that round. There you go, you can get a look at that. So the shield's in place. Right, so now we go on to populating the motherboard. So I'm going to pop the case aside and start populating the motherboard. Basics of the motherboard. Right, see what we remember, eh? These are your PCI slots, and so this one here with the metal shielding around it is for the graphics card. These are two full-size PCI slots here. I believe this one is the 16 times, and I'm not sure if this is 16 or 8 times this one. These are other PCI slots for smaller cards. I've got a USB card to go in there, because on the flight sims you need loads of USBs. So I'll put in another card with I think it's got 6 USBs on it. We'll go in here. I've got some already populated on the board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think there's 7 on this already, but do need a lot. So here you've got your keyboard input here. The is it the PS2 type adapter for the keyboard. These I believe are USB 2s. Then you've got USB 3s, HDMI port. I think this is a Type C, USB Type C port. Some more USB 3s, Ethernet port, and then you've got your sound and microphone input and outputs here. Right, so yes, so we've done PCI slots there. This is where the processor goes. That's the CPU chip holder goes in there. Your RAM slots are here. You've got 4 slots for your RAM, and you have to check which ones are your main, because they don't necessarily go next to each other when you pair them. So unless you're populating all 4, you need to make sure, say you're using only 2, that there are 2 linked. It could be that one and that one, or it could be that one and that one. So you need to check your instruction manual as to which one are the 2 slots that are paired together. This is your main power supply input, and these are all the inputs for your fans, your external USBs. That's a little lithium battery for your BIOS, your CMOS chip, so that keeps all the settings on the board stored even when the system's powered off. Right, other than that I'm not sure what the rest of it is. So these are some really heavy heat sinks on there. As I say, modern computers produce a lot of power. Oh, they're your SATA inputs for your hard drives on the side there. Now the M2 SSD fits somewhere on the board here. Here it is, goes there. That's where your M2 SSD goes. That's your solid state hard drive, fits on here. Right, so yes, I'm going to start populating the board now. Before we put it into the case, it makes it a bit easier. to line up where everything goes. So I think we'll probably kick off with the SSD. I think will go in there quite easily. So let's get that. For this project we've got the Samsung Evo 860. This is a 1 terabyte SSD. Break the seal on that. See if they've given us any screws, or we have to get our own screws. Looks like we have to get our own screws. Luckily I think the motherboard comes with the screws, so now look at the notches on this as to whether or not this goes face up or face down. That should just go in slightly at an angle, push into that slot, there we go. Oh, that was easy. Right, and then that comes down. Right, now it needs a post of some sort for that to screw onto. As you can see there's a gap there. They put a little rubber bit there, and there should be like a standoff post there to hold that on. So let's have a look in the goodies that came with the motherboard. I think it's probably this bit here. It says on this packet, one piece. Doesn't actually say what it is, but it looks like it could be that. There we go. That. It's got a little bit with a screw on. Already a screw in it and fixed to a standoff there, so I've got a funny feeling that's it. Let's get a tiny screwdriver for that M2 screw there. Right, let's take that out. Going to pop that out again so you can see what's going on. It lines up with that one. Oh, actually I can see they're giving you one over here for a longer unit, so you could move that one to that one, but I've got that one there, so I'll pop that in there. Really love to know what that is. Don't know if that's a heat shield for this thing. It does look like it, but I don't know if I can put that on with the graphics card, so we'll have to see to that when we come later. Right, again, got our M2 SSD. We've got the pins this side and the fixing connection that side, so just go in slightly at an angle and it will push into that connector. Bring it down, and you've got the tiny screw there. Just bring it down, that should tighten into that. Don't over tighten anything, just firm. That's it. It's firmly in place there. Lovely. One part. Next thing, we've gone with our Corsair Ventus LPX memory, 2x16GB DDR4 RAM. Now, let's open those up. Now, as I said, we need to see which ones of these are paired. So sometimes they actually say on the board themselves. Let's have a little look here. See anything on the board? Yeah, it looks like written there, small writing there. It's got 1 2 1 2, so it looks like it's 1 2 1 2. So if you want them both in together, it looks like it's probably going to be that one and that one, the first and the third. I'll just have a brief look at the manual and I'll come back in a second. Right, I've just had a quick look at the manual, and it's actually, they're set up as A and B ports. So looking at these, A is the first one. So looking at the board like this, that's 1 and 2 of A, and this is 1 and 2 of B. So they need to go in the first 2 slots there. These are our RAM. Now if you look at them, there's a little notch down the side there. It's not actually in the mid position, I don't believe. So if you have a look on here, you've got a long and a short side on this fit in here on the board. So you want to make sure that the notch lines up with that hole. Pull back these tabs. These tabs lock in place once you push it in. So pull them back. I think they only pull back on one side. So slot that in. Once you've got that lined up, the notch is lined up with that little peg in the centre there. Just slip that in and just gently push it down, and as you push it down, this little tab should come and lock up in place. I can do that so that you can see it on camera. There we go, and you just see that little click and it's just locked in place. Same with the second one. Just gently push down one end there. As you push that down there, that should lock. There we go, locked. Make sure that's all in evenly. Support the board from underneath because the board's quite flexible and you don't want to crack any of the electrics or the electrical tracking on it. So that's our RAM in, and that's our SSD in. Right, scariest bit of all now is putting the processor in. So let's have a look what's inside our processor box. It's the AMD Ryzen 7. This is the 3rd generation, and it's the 8-core 16-thread processor, 3.6 gigahertz one. So it's the AMD Ryzen 7 3700X. So let's take a look inside here. Now, even though this processor comes with a heatsink and a fan, these processors now run so hot that I thought it could do with the extra cooling of the water cooling system, so I went for that. Right, so just take that box out the way. And see what we got here. So there's the processor itself, see that in there, processor, and this is just the heatsink and cooling fan, which is lovely, a lovely unit. Look at that, look, just incredible, that looks so good. I might turn that into a piece of artwork or something. That's nice, isn't it? Look at the old cooling tubes. I do like that. Yeah, I might use that as a piece of artwork. So let's pop that back in there. because I'm going with the water cooled, the Corsair H60 for my coolant on the processor. So just pop that over to one side again and have a look at what we got here. This is the actual processor. Starting to get nervous now. These are the bits you can't mess up. Right, there we go. Scared. Now, apparently on these processors you can't put them in the wrong way round because you've got a little marking on the chip itself as to which way round it has to go. Got to be very careful because of the fine pins on the bottom. They're all little pins, they are. Oh my word. Bloody. But yeah, look if we can see that. I don't know if you can see that. Trying to find the little identification as to which way round this goes in. There is like a I don't know if you can see that there. Try and get that there. There's like a little gold triangle on that corner. Is that focusing? The autofocus. But this little corner here, it's got a gold marking on it, whereas the other three don't have. So I'd imagine this is the position marker for how it fits on the board. Just going to pop that over there now and bring the motherboard back in. Let's bring the motherboard back into play. This is where that processor is going to fit in there. Now, to open this up, you have to pull back this little tag and pop it upwards, lever it upwards. Now that's ready to receive the processor. Now, if we look on this, I thought there would be some sort of markers to show you which way round it goes. But I can't actually see anything marked on the board there. I've got a feeling it's going to go that way around so that the name all lines up and that bottom corner goes there, but I'm just going to check that with the reference manual before I put it in. Right, if you look at the circuit board, these three corners are just plain green. This one's got a little dot on it. You probably can't even see that on the camera, I don't know. But there's a little dot on that corner there. Now I'd say that that has to line up with that arrow there. So the chip is actually going in like this, not the way I thought initially. Now you shouldn't have to force it in, that's gone in. And then we just close the bar and that should lock it into place. There we go. So it's actually fitting like that with the name pointing off to the left. You can see that? Let's come back up here. Come on camera, focused. Out, got that? Just fitting off to the left like that. Now the cooler has to mount on these brackets. Now because I'm not using their cooler, I need to check the H60 cooler to see what needs to fit on here first before I put this inside the case, because if there's any other fittings that need doing, I'm not going to be able to get to them. So I'm going to check out now pop this to one side and we'll have a look at the water cooling to see how this mounts onto the board. 3, 2, 1. Right, this is what I've gone for my CPU cooler. This is the Corsair H60 Hydro series. let's just open this up and see what's inside. Another instruction manual, warranty guide, it's a foam, right, oh my god, loads in here. Right, it's another fan. This is all the clamps. Right, anything I'm not using I'll pop back in the box here. Don't want to lose any of it. So warranty can go back in there, sponge can go back in there. Put that to one side. Right, let's see what we got. So we've got a fan, cooling fan, yep, instruction manual, and then we've got this beast here. Which is the radiator. See that? That's the radiator, just like a car red. It's got a fixed amount of fluid in it. Got the fins here for cooling. This pumps along the water through the radiator fan and back again. So this bit attaches to the processor chip. Get a nice contact on the processor there, so it takes the heat away, extracts the heat from the chip. That heat heats up the water in here. That water passes through the radiator, which cools the water, gets rid of the heat externally. The fan sucks it out, blows it out of the case, and then cool water circulates back through, and it just cycles and cycles and cycles and extracts the heat away from the processor. That's the theory behind it. What we need to work out is how this is going to mount to that chip, because obviously that chip and the board were designed to have the cooling fan that came with the processor, and not this one. So these, I think you need to fit like a reinforcing bracket on the bottom of the motherboard, so when you tighten it down it doesn't crack the board. So let's just refer to the manual and see what it says. Right, it's actually quite straightforward. It's far more simpler than I thought. Right, so this is the H60 as it comes out of the box. It's fitted with the mounting bracket for the Intel processor, but we're using the AMD processor, so we need to change this bracket for, they supply it in the box for the AMD fitting. So where I was trying to say, oh, you might have to undo all these screws, you don't. You quite simply just slide out that. We just slid out the groove there. Same on the other side, slide that one out. So that's the Intel piece we don't need. Put that to one side. Then we want the brackets for the AMD fitting, is this one. Now these just slide in the same way as the other ones slid out. Put them in there like that. Just push it in firmly. And then the same on the other side. There we go. It just goes in there like that. Just pushed in nicely there. And then they supply these little hooks and thumb screws. See, on some motherboards you have to change the mounting plates here, or you have to put a reinforcing plate on the back so it doesn't snap the board as you do it up. But this one's already got one fitted. You can see there's a reinforcing plate there, and there's the and what they supply you with is like a thumb screw and a little hook, or it looks like a key that comes off your tin of Spam, you know. That will hook underneath here. Let's get this a bit closer so you can see it. That hooks under that bracket there and just pulls the heat sink down. You can see that with my fingers in the way. So all you have to do with these is get your tinned hand key there, pop that through the bracket there, and put the thumb screw on top like that. Two of those, one on the other side, through there, and that goes on there. And then when we come to fit this onto the processor, that will go on there like that. Just bring this to the middle so you can see it a bit better. That will go on like that. Those two little hooks will hook onto the bracket there, on there. The problem with these coolant pipes is they're quite stiff. That hooks onto the bracket there, like that. And that pulls down onto the processor there. That, and I think I have got, see these things here, things that I slid off, I think I've got them upside down. So turn that like that, and then like that. And we have to just turn the thumb screws over, but I've got them upside down. Let's push that in that way. Take those screws off. Try again. Switch them around. So it's with the flat side facing down and the hooks are going up. That's it now. And that face of that should rest nicely on the face of the processor, like that. And then those hooks should hook onto those black brackets and hold it in place. Just going to do that up loosely because I'm not going to fit this yet until I get it in the case. Clamps down on that hook. Like that. That holds that there, and then this I think I'm going to have on the top of my case, and you obviously need the fan to draw the heat out. So what we're going to look at now is attaching the fan to the radiator. That's the fan that comes with it. And got to make sure that we get this the right way round, so it's drawing the heat through, or the air through the radiator fins. So it makes a difference which way round you put this fan. I think it's going to be that way round so that the pretty pitch is on the inside, and that will go onto there like that. They supply you with various types of screws and bolts and things depending on your case, how it fits on your case. Because that's going to fit there. Yeah, so you've got some long screws in the kit with washers. I'm just going to fit that fan on there now. Right, trying to work out which way around this is going to go in the case. So that's going to go in the case there like that. So this fan will actually have to fit here, like that, on that side. so it's drawing the heat through the fan, through the fins of this, and then expelling it out to the outside. So that'll have to go on that way round. So, right, let's get those long screws and a washer. Line that up with my radiator screwdriver. Four of those. There like that. So I think the next stage now is I'm going to disconnect this bit now to make it easier to get in, and I'm going to put the motherboard in the case, and then we'll go with wiring the power supply into the case. So let's disconnect this for a minute. Bringing our motherboard back in now because I couldn't fit that fan in. It's going to block screws towards the motherboard, and also pins that I need to attach cables to. So yeah, we definitely need to put this in first. So we put the standoffs on, so we just align that up now. We need to also put it in at a slight angle so it goes inside the IO shield, lines up with the IO shield. Make sure it all lines up on the front of the IO shield. So that motherboard's in, the IO shield is in place. Now we're going to have to start connecting things up. This is where it gets interesting. You've got to find where all the connections are for your fans. Now I've got like fan 1, fan 2 all along the bottom here. These are quite short, these cables, and you want to try and keep your cables neat. So CPU fan is at the top, then I've got fans 1, 2, 3 and 4 along the bottom here. Now these cables may just reach, so I'm going to put this back fan in here onto fan number 1. It says system fan 1. Now they should only be able to go in one way round. These have got 3 pins and those have got 4. So, but there is a slot on there. That slot has to line up with that. to check where your headers are before you fit your fans. So just going to pause it there, spin these around, and I'll come back to you. Right, I've relocated those fans now. You can see I've dropped them lower actually to help with the cooling on the power supply unit, and also gives me a bit more length on those cables to reach the headers on there. So I'll just connect them up to the fan system pins on here. And we just have a look, because up here in the top of the case there, you can see it there, we've got all the connections for our front facing USBs and our power switch. Now all of those have got to be connected to the board. Now all those cables, I'll spin this over, run down the back here. They're all here. They'll come down the back of the case here. Now depending on where the connections are on the board as to whether or not you've got to move these around, so I have no idea what that is. Oh, it's a USB 3 connector. Then we've got the pins for our power switch, power LED, HD LED, reset switch, power LED positive. So those have got to connect to the board. That's our USB 3. And this one here is our, oh, this is for our audio, the audio plugs on the front. So you've got headphones and mic inputs on your front panel. So let's try and find out where they go on the board, and then we can route the cables accordingly. Let's go and tie them a minute, because we don't know where they're going. Tie them all, gives us more freedom. Let's have a look at our board. Let's find out where the pins are on our board. So we have, right, we've got a USB 3 down the bottom here. Have we got anything on the top of the header? No, doesn't look like it. So we need to get, first of all, get that USB 3 cable up through there. That's that thick one. This one here, twin cable. So we need to bring that in from around the back here. Right, we're still recording, here we go. Right, I've just referred to the manual, and we're looking for JFP1 and JFP2, which are the front panel connectors. I've located JFP1, which is down here, just next to that USB 3 input there. Now you will need to refer to your manual on this, because there's all the pins are actually located on there. I'll pass that wire through there, and that one. And then all it is a case of just tying up the wires to the pins in accordance to the manual. So I'll bring that cable up here. Which on this one it's got all the front connections and the front lights. So there's JFP1 there, and these are the connections that go to JFP1. So let's have a look at the manual and link the two up. Right, the next thing we're looking for is this thing here, which is the front panel audio connections. So let's find the front panel audio connections. JAUD1 on the board. So can we find that? There we go, down the bottom there. JAUD1, just on the bottom there. Just line that up because there is a blank spot on the pins. Yep, done. In, lovely. Love it when a plan comes together. So, good. Right, so for the power supply unit, we've gone with the Thermaltake. Let's bring this up a little bit for you. The Thermaltake London 550 watt 80 plus gold. We've also got the connectors here for the SATA drives, floppy drives, etc. in there. PCIe connectors, this is for powering your graphics cards. Here. Right, so these are all the modular cables. Put in this bag. Modular cables here. Hopefully tell me what they are because I don't know. I think these are the graphics cards ones, the 6s and the 8s. These, don't know, they look like SATA power cables or hard drive power cables. No idea. I think that's the M2. That's an M2 connector or something. I don't know, lots of connections. We'll have a look in the instructions. Start with the basics, I suppose, try and see where it's going to go. But got your normal connector for your mains power supply, on-off switch, nice big cooling fan here. Now I'm probably going to have this, because this case is on legs, I think I'm going to have it drawing the air from the outside, from the base of the unit, because it's not sitting on carpet or anything. It's sitting on a nice wooden shelf, and it's got at least an inch and a half high feet on the bottom of this case. It's going to give it adequate ventilation, so I think I'll mount this in the bottom of the case with the fan facing to the floor. Again, we've got another little removable dust filter on the bottom there. So let's see how we're going to get this in. Right, let's flip it over the other way. You can see that. Right, that's our power supply compartment there. Push some cables up through there. That might be a mistake, but we shall see. So this power supply goes in here somehow. Oh, it does. That's not too bad. And so I'm doing it with the fan downwards. nice. So they're going with all these flashing lights. Right, so there's the big main cable that obviously goes in the board there. Again, support the underneath of the board when you're pushing anything in, because you don't want to crack the board by pushing too hard. There we go, that's just clipped in neatly there. This is the CPU power. We've just got to see where that goes. Good question. Can't see a connector for it. Unless it's one up here. Here we go, CPU power. And this one is that one there. It's a pain in the butt going up there, isn't it? Right. Let's try to fish that down. Bring that up. Where can I bring that up from? These are the cables that came with it. Lots of. We have no idea what they are. Right, what I think is probably best is if I plug these in, I'm going to loosen the power supply unit, plug them in so that they're all there, and then once I determine what they're for, I can route them to the right place. Otherwise just leave them wrapped up inside the power supply bay. Right, I've moved the power supply out and plugged in the rest of those cables. However, I still quite haven't worked out what they're all for. Run the PCIe cable up through there. These I think are for SATA drives and that, but we shall see about that. The only thing I've got to go in my drive bay here is me Barracuda 2TB mechanical drive. So if I get that out, this is it here, Seagate Barracuda. See that? Right. Yep, it's a Seagate Barracuda 2TB mechanical drive, this one. And so we've got on the back here our SATA connections. So that has to fit into one of these little drive bays, and obviously these powers here connect to it somehow. It looks like a that one there. Looks like a good choice for one there. Right shape. but not sure if that does everything. So that bit's just on there. I think these are the old style hard drives, aren't they? So that cable's probably not used. So just going to put a bit of tie around that, keep that out of the way. I think that's for the old style floppy and hard drives. Tie around that. Pop that out of the way. So this is the one I'm using here. Let's pull out one of these trays. These nice little fixing trays. And then the drive should pop into that tray. These little pegs, see the little pegs on the side of that tray? They line up with the screw holes in that. So there's not even any screwing to do, I think. Just flex that a little bit. That's it. Blimey. How nice is that? And it slides into that tray. There's my drive locked in. Now these spare cables, I've left these ones free just in case, so I'll poke them through there for now, but I might tuck them out the way and all. So we'll just tuck them down there. This here, I'm going to put another cable tie on that there, keep that neat. Tie as we go. Like that. Nice. CPU cooling fan in, wire that in and connect this down to the CPU. So that's what I'm going to do next. So here's our CPU fan and the heatsink for the CPU. Now again, this has got some of that transfer gunk on it and all. I think I might lock this down in place now because it keeps getting pulled about. So I'm going to lock that down in place. So I need to find the other little fish hook thing, the spam tin connector. Here we go. Key to your tin of spam. We'll break out into the Monty Python clip now. Right, so that goes through there. Little thumb screw on there. Right, now this is going to go down on top of the processor and then hooks around these black hooks here, if you can see, one there, and then just finger tighten it down. Or so they tell me. It's hooked under that one. Pop that on top there. On that one, right, so let's just tighten them down, finger tight. And supposedly not be able to over tighten these, but can't see that's on it. Doing it evenly so it spreads out that heat transfer stuff, gunk. they're just finger tight. I'm hoping that's going to be enough. Right, that's that. Oh, I've got a little stick. I'll peel that off. Just to prevent scratching, I think. Don't want that on there. There we go. Might prevent the heat showing off and all. Right, cables on this thing. Yes, good question. No idea. There's the SATA connector. And this, I don't know. I think that's an RGB. I think that's a bit of light on there or something. It says LHE on there. Don't know what that is. I've got a feeling that's something just to put a light on. Right. So that's tied down there. That's there. So SATA connector. I might need to run one of these SATAs up to the top so I can keep this cable out of the way and keep it nice and neat. But what we'll do is we'll connect the fan up. This is the fan unit, the cooling unit with the radiator attached. I want that to go there somewhere. Now this I think has got fixing holes on the back here, so I'm going to have to come through the top of my case like that. Okay, can you see that at all? Yep, fixing points here, 4 of those, and I'm going to come through the top of the case so that fits there like that. I'm going to just flip the case up now so I can get right. I think I got this right. Coming off of the H60 CPU cooler pump, there's 2 cables. One's a SATA cable and one's just a single cable with a 3-pin plug on the end of it. Now it says this connects to a SATA connection, so I'm going to chuck that out through the top of the case and connect that up to my SATA lead that's coming off the power supply. It says that this other one, this single cable here, connects to the header on the board marked CPU fan. Yep. And then that leaves me with the fan that's on the radiator here, which has got a 4-pin connector to be powered somewhere. Now on the top of this board here, it's got another connector there that says pump fan. So I'm hoping that's the right one for that. So I'm going to connect that there where it says pump fan. Here we are. So yeah, for the graphics on this one, I've gone with the MSI GeForce RTX 2070 Super Ventus. It's a 8GB card with ray tracing. Let's have a little look in the box now. What we got? Oh, hefty. Oh, that's nice. Right, let's get rid of this box, isn't it? There we go. It's a double width card, that's why I had to take two of the plates out. I believe these are the power connectors for it at the top there. Twin fans, nice looking. It's the business. Your PCIe connector there. So let's take this off again. So you get the gubbins. Right, so this has got to go in there. Just need to remove this little cover off the PCIe connector. And there's two little notches in it. They should correspond to these two notches here and here. Make sure those clips there are pushed backwards. So that's now open, and that should click automatically when you push the card down. So don't press too hard because you don't want to damage the motherboard. You see I've got a little cable running along there, and I'm hoping this is going to clear that. So I'll just have to tuck that cable in front. You can see my coolant pipe's getting in the way as well now. Let's lift them up. Just gently get it in position before you force anything down. It's in line with the front end, but it's not in line with the slot. Why not? Okay. Try and keep my head out, you want. Right, okay, nowhere near it. Has to go there. So I've actually taken out the wrong plates. Let's move that over. I've taken out plate 1 and 2. It should be 2 and 3. So if I just whip this one out. Put that plate back into number 1 hole. It should be 2 and 3 that comes out. Obviously varies depending on what graphics card you're using and what motherboard you're using. So right, that should line up now. Let's try that again. Get that front of that cable so I don't trap that cable. Line it up. PCI slot. I'm just going to push it down at the front. That's it. And I've just heard that clip in at the back as well. So be careful. Just going to check that that's clipped in at the front there, at the back. Yep, there we go. Still clonk, clipped in. That's locked in place now. And then we just need a couple of fixing screws in there to hold that in place. In principle, that's it. It's in place. It's tightened down, clipped in place. Now, this is the power, because these are separately powered, these cards, because they're so big. And this is the lead that comes off of my power supply unit. Now, this is an 8-pin and a 6-pin. Now, these give me 2 connectors, a 6 and a 2. But you can join these 2. This is what it says in the instructions somewhere. Join the 2 to make an 8. like that, I believe. It looks like it's upside down to me. So is it like that to make an 8? Yeah, that's it, that makes my 8. Now, plug that in there. I'm just going to support the card from underneath when I push that in, so I'm not doing any undue pressure on that. And that's the 8. Whether or not you need 6 or 8, I'm not sure. I have to refer to the instructions on the card. Okay, that's going to be powering it all up, checking the BIOS settings on the board, and then installing Windows and see where we go from there. So I'm going to pause the video now, go make yourself a cup of coffee because I deserve it, and then I'm going to start installing the software. All fans powering up, graphics cards fans powered, pump coolers on. Right, let's get this wired up to a monitor, keyboard, and we can start sorting that lot out. Okay, let's do that. Well, everything's powering up, all the fans are on, all looks good. Just going to pan you round now to the, and I do apologise for the very crappy monitor that I've got it plugged into at the moment, just to see if it all boots up. Oh, there it is. Oh, I missed the boot up, let's do that again. That's the delete key. Come on, delete key. There it is. Right, brilliant. CPU frequencies running. That's good. 3.6. So there we go, that's our 100 megahertz clock speed, that's the base clock speed. Let's just go down the menu, if you can see that clearly. Let me try and adjust that for you. Can't have this on screen capture. Oh, that's a bit of glare there. Right, let's come over here. So if I stand there, I'll take the glare away. Right, let's go down to memory. You can see we've got our Corsair 16 gig, 2 of them on DIMM 2s. (2133 megahertz), that's all good. DDR4 storage. Right, it's showing 2 storage devices at the moment, one on SATA port 2. It's only saying 3 gig, I don't know what that's all about. And on M2, the Samsung SSD 2 gig on M2. Fan info. There's our CPU fan. Temperature running at 25 degrees at the moment. All looks good at the moment. Let's look at pump fan speed. Yeah, that all looks good. Here we can set the smart fan modes, everything on there. Yep, I'll have to look into this because I've absolutely no idea what's going on there. So yep, that's an interesting one. There's pump 1, so I take it the pump is running. You just don't know, do you? Okay. Right, what I'm going to do now is go and download a copy of Windows 10 onto a USB drive so I can start installing Windows on this system. And then once all that's installed, I'll come back to you and show it all running. Okay, thanks much. Well, there it is. See the PC there? It's all working. Fortunately the fans didn't come with LEDs, so I'll get some separate LEDs for those, but so everything's all lit up there, the pump and the CPU cooler, it's all working, fans around there, very happy with that. Just installed Windows 10, just downloading the NVIDIA drivers for the new graphics card, but I'm extremely pleased with that. Well, thanks for watching this video, and I hope it's been informative, and I'll catch you next time once this is all up and running with DCS World Flight Simulator. See you soon. Well, thanks for watching this video. If you have any comments or any suggestions for future videos, please leave them in the section below, and don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell to catch your future videos. Okay, well, thanks again for watching TOGAtech, and I'll see you next time.